Money was tight in the 70s, but British families knew how to stretch every penny without sacrificing comfort or tradition. The weekly shop wasn't about luxury. It was about survival, creativity, and making do. Mum filled the trolley with staples that could be reused, stretched, and transformed into dozens of filling meals. These weren't fancy ingredients, but they were reliable, affordable, and deeply embedded in the rhythm of daily life. From margarine to mince, tinned goods to gravy granules, these groceries kept families fed through tough times and became the backbone of a generation's kitchen. Let's revisit 15 essentials that defined budget shopping when money was scarce. Stork Margarine was the budget baker's best friend, a cheap industrial substitute for butter that became essential in every thrifty 70s kitchen. The yellow block or tub, stamped with the iconic Stork brand name and logo, sat permanently in the fridge, ready for spreading or cooking. But Stork's real genius was in baking. It was the key ingredient for the revolutionary all-in-one cake mixing method that swept through budget-conscious households, allowing Mum to throw everything into one bowl. No creaming, no fuss, just mix and bake. It saved time, effort, and money. Spread thinly on toast, though, Stork revealed its true nature, a slightly synthetic, metallic, or watery taste that was unmistakably not butter. Kids noticed, adults pretended not to care. It wasn't about flavour. It was about stretching the budget far enough to get through the week. Stork was practical, reliable, and unapologetically artificial, a product that symbolised making do without complaint and finding clever ways to feed a family when every penny counted. Beef or pork dripping was the ultimate expression of zero-waste frugality, the cheapest, most traditional cooking fat, rendered straight from the Sunday roast and saved for the week ahead. After carving the joint, Mum would pour the hot, liquid fat into a ceramic basin, where it solidified into a thick white or pinkish block, kept cold in the fridge, and used repeatedly for frying chips, eggs, or reheating leftover roast potatoes. It was thrifty, resourceful, and absolutely essential when money was tight. But what everyone remembers most is the smell, the heavy, savoury, intensely greasy aroma that filled the entire house the moment dripping hit the hot pan. It clung to curtains, soaked into clothes, lingered for hours, announcing to the whole street that someone was frying. The taste was rich, meaty, and undeniably satisfying, coating every chip in a layer of pure, unapologetic flavour. Dripping wasn't fancy, but it was free, it was effective, and it carried the essence of thrift and tradition in every greasy spoonful. Marvel powdered milk was the long-life, shelf-stable solution for families watching every penny, a low-fat alternative that sat in the cupboard for months, ready to be reconstituted whenever fresh milk ran out or the budget ran thin. Sold in distinctive blue and white foil-coated cardboard drums, it was an economical standby for cooking, baking, and even drinking when times were especially hard. Mum would whisk the fine white powder with cold water in a jug, often needing to let it stand for a few minutes to fully dissolve and avoid lumps. The result was drinkable, just about, but unmistakably different. The flavour was distinct, slightly thin, oddly sweet, with a texture that never quite matched the real thing. Kids could tell immediately when Marvel had been used in their tea or on their cereal, but complaining wasn't an option. Marvel wasn't about taste, it was about necessity, about having milk available when money was too tight to waste on fresh bottles that might spoil. It was practical, reliable, and a quiet reminder that making do was part of life. Mince was the backbone of budget cooking, the cheapest, most adaptable cut from the butcher, capable of stretching into a dozen different meals that could feed a family for days. Often bought loose from the butcher, wrapped in paper or in simple supermarket trays, it was plain, unassuming, and endlessly useful. Mum knew every trick, stretching it significantly with cheap fillers like dried lentils, finely chopped onion, or even a tin of condensed soup to bulk out the volume and make the meat go further. It became cottage pie, shepherd's pie, bolognese, chili, meatloaf, stuffed peppers, whatever the week demanded. What lingers most is the smell, the comforting, familiar aroma of onions softening in the pan, followed by the rich, savoury scent of minced beef browning, fat sizzling, flavours merging into something warm and filling. That smell meant dinner was coming, that Mum was working magic with next to nothing, transforming a modest amount of cheap meat into a meal that satisfied and comforted, no matter how tight money was. Cheap sausages, affectionately known as bangers, were the affordable protein that got families through lean times. High rusk, heavily seasoned links that filled bellies without emptying wallets. Sold pale and plump, often requiring a quick prick with a fork to prevent them from splitting and spitting violently in the pan. They were the core ingredient for quintessential budget meals like toad in the hole, bangers and mash with thick onion gravy, or a simple fry-up when nothing else was available. The quality varied wildly. Some were more bread than meat, but that didn't matter when money was tight. What everyone remembers is the sound and smell. The loud, unmistakable sizzle and pop as cheap sausages hit the hot pan, releasing a heavy, greasy aroma that filled the kitchen and announced tea time to the entire household. They weren't fancy, they weren't lean, but they were reliable, comforting, and deeply satisfying when paired with mash, gravy, and a bit of imagination. Bangers symbolised making do with pride, turning the cheapest ingredients into meals that felt hearty, filling, and just a little bit special. Frozen fish fingers were the affordable, portion-controlled saviour of busy weeknight suppers. Convenient blocks of white fish coated in crispy breadcrumbs that required zero preparation and minimal effort. The instantly recognisable bird's eye orange and white boxes, featuring the cheerful face of Captain Birdseye, were a permanent fixture in every freezer, ready to be grilled or baked straight from frozen for a quick Friday tea. They were cheap, they were reliable, and kids actually ate them without complaint, making them invaluable when money and time were both in short supply. What sticks in memory is the texture and routine, the distinct, uniform crunch of the golden breadcrumb coating, giving way to soft, mild fish inside, almost always served alongside a pile of baked beans and a few chips, if the budget allowed. Fish fingers weren't gourmet, but they were dependable, filling, and carried the comforting certainty that even on the tightest budget, there was always something quick and familiar to put on the table that felt like a proper meal. Tinned corned beef was the ultimate pantry lifeline. Highly shelf-stable salted beef that could sit in the cupboard for months, ready to rescue a meal when the fridge was bare and the budget exhausted. The distinctive trapezoidal can with its attached small metal winding key was iconic, though opening it was always a minor battle, twisting the key carefully to peel back the tin without mangling the meat inside. Once freed, the dense pink block of corned beef, encased in a thin layer of pale jelly, was the key ingredient for corned beef hash, fried up with leftover boiled potatoes, onions, and a bit of dripping until crispy and golden. What lingers most is the texture and taste, the salty, slightly gelatinous feel of the cold meat block sliding out of the tin, the way it crumbled and crisped in the pan, releasing a savoury, meaty aroma that promised a filling, no-nonsense meal. Corned beef wasn't glamorous, but it was dependable, versatile, and represented the kind of thrifty resourcefulness that kept families fed through the hardest weeks. Tinned baked beans were the ultimate cheap, versatile staple, a reliable source of plant protein and carbs that could be turned into a meal in minutes without fuss or expense. The ubiquitous red and white tins, usually Heinz or Cross and Blackwell, often still bearing faded 70s price labels, were stacked high in every kitchen cupboard, ready for emergencies or end-of-week desperation. Beans on toast was the default quick fix, but they also filled jacket potatoes, bulked-out fry-ups, or accompanied sausages and chips when nothing else was available. What everyone remembers is the sauce, the comforting, thick, sweet tomato coating that clung to every bean, quickly heated straight from the tin on the hob until bubbling and fragrant. The taste was instantly recognizable, predictable, and oddly satisfying, a flavor so embedded in childhood that it became synonymous with home, simplicity, and survival. Baked beans weren't fancy, but they were filling, affordable, and always there when you needed them. A humble hero of the budget kitchen. Tin tomato soup was an essential, highly affordable canned staple that provided comforting warmth on cold days and a versatile base for stretching other meals when money ran low. The bright primary red can was a comforting sight stacked high in the cupboard, a reliable emergency ration that never seemed to run out. Mum knew how to make it go further. She'd stretch the condensed soup by mixing it with an entire tin of water or milk, maximising volume so one could feed more mouths. Poured into a pan and heated until steaming, it was served with thickly buttered bread for dunking, or sometimes poured over leftover mash to create a makeshift meal. What sticks most vividly is the taste, the uniquely thick, sweet, and slightly tangy flavour of the concentrated puree, unmistakably artificial, yet deeply nostalgic. It wasn't restaurant quality, but it was warm, filling, and predictable, a taste that signalled comfort, routine, and the reassurance that even when the cupboard was nearly bare, there was always something hot to put in your bowl. Bisto gravy granules were the instant, affordable solution for creating thick, rich brown gravy that could transform the driest, cheapest cuts of meat into something edible and satisfying. The distinctive square cardboard tub, with its bold red and yellow branding, was essential for binding together budget dinners. Sausages, mince, leftover roast, or even plain mash needed that thick, savoury coating to make them feel complete. Mum used Bisto liberally, whisking the dark granules into boiling water or meat juices until the gravy thickened, then pouring it generously over everything on the plate to cover, enhance and moisten dry, high-rusk sausages or tough meat. What everyone remembers is the aroma, the familiar dark, salty, intensely savoury smell that filled the kitchen as the gravy bubbled and thickened, a scent that signalled a proper, filling meal was on its way. Bisto wasn't subtle, but it was reliable, comforting, and carried the satisfying thickness and flavour that turned plain, frugal ingredients into something warm, hearty, and unmistakably home. Smash instant mashed potato was the ultimate time-saving shortcut. Dehydrated potato flakes that transformed into fluffy, smooth mash with nothing more than boiling water and a quick stir, saving time, effort, and fuel. Sold in bright red or orange canisters, adorned with futuristic branding, Smash became indelibly linked to its legendary TV adverts featuring a group of Martian robots who laughed hysterically at Earthlings still peeling and boiling potatoes the old-fashioned way. Mum whipped it up in minutes, using it as the smooth, lightweight topping for cottage pies, or serving it alongside bangers and gravy when there was no time or energy for the real thing. What everyone remembers most vividly is the advert itself, the Martians' distinct robotic voices and their mechanical, wheezing giggles that made Smash a cultural phenomenon as much as a convenience food. The taste was acceptable, if a bit too smooth and artificially uniform, but that didn't matter when it saved precious time and pennies. Smash wasn't authentic, but it was fast, reliable, and hilariously memorable. Yellow Pack or No-Frills basics were the starkest, most visible symbol of budget shopping. Unbranded essentials sold in aggressively plain yellow wrappers with chunky black block lettering that screamed butter, beans, or sugar without pretense or decoration. These represented the absolute lowest available price point, the final tier of thrift when money was critically tight and brand loyalty became an unaffordable luxury. Families purchased them exclusively during the hardest weeks, choosing function and survival over packaging or pride. What sticks most powerfully is the aesthetic itself. The bold, unapologetic yellow and black design that became a cultural shorthand for necessary sacrifice and visible frugality, a silent admission in the shopping trolley that this week every penny counted. There was no hiding it. Everyone in the queue could see the stark yellow packs stacked among the shopping, and everyone understood what they meant. Yellow pack wasn't glamorous, but it was honest, utilitarian, and represented the kind of dignified, resourceful poverty that kept families fed through the toughest times. Angel Delight was the magical, affordable dessert mix that turned a plain, frugal meal into something that felt like a treat. A powdered instant mousse that created a light, airy dessert when whisked vigorously with cold milk. Sold in small, brightly coloured sachets featuring fluorescent strawberry, butterscotch, or banana flavours, it was cheap, fun, and required almost zero effort, making it the perfect way to end a meal when there was no money for proper pudding. Mum or the kids would whisk the powder into milk, watching it transform from liquid to frothy, pastel-coloured fluff in minutes, then spoon it into bowls and leave it to set slightly in the fridge. What everyone remembers most is the taste and texture, the intensely artificial fruit flavour, and the characteristic, airy, luminous, almost weightless mouthfeel that was unlike anything else. It wasn't natural, but it was sweet, fun, and felt like a small luxury when money was tight, a bright, cheerful reminder that even on a shoestring, there was still room for a little magic. Bird's custard powder was the economical, cornflour-based alternative to expensive egg custard, a British institution that made hot, sweet, yellow custard accessible to every budget-conscious household. Sold in the reliable, classic blue and white cardboard tin that sat permanently in the cupboard, it was a trusted staple for pouring over sponge puddings, crumbles, or tinned fruit when a proper dessert was needed without the cost. Mum cooked it carefully on the stove, whisking the powder with milk and sugar, stirring continuously to prevent the dreaded lumps from forming, a delicate balancing act that required patience and attention. What sticks most vividly is the sensory experience, the intense, artificial vanilla aroma that filled the kitchen as the custard thickened, and the bright, almost fluorescent yellow colour that poured hot and glossy over pudding, transforming the simplest dessert into something warm, comforting, and unmistakably British. Bird's custard wasn't authentic, but it was affordable, reliable, and carried the sweet, nostalgic taste of childhood and home. Packet cake mix was the foolproof, budget-friendly solution for producing a respectable homemade cake with minimal skill, effort, or expense. Pre-blended dry ingredients in a box that needed only water, oil, or a single egg to transform into something edible and celebratory. The boxes featured bright, slightly artificial illustrations of perfect, fluffy cakes with immaculate icing, promising easy results that even the most inexperienced baker could achieve. Mum relied on them for children's birthdays, school fetes, or last-minute visitors, quickly mixing, baking, and presenting a cake that looked and smelled homemade without the cost or complexity of baking from scratch. What everyone remembers most is the sensory signature, the uniform, slightly spongy texture, and the pervasive, sweet, almost chemical smell of the cake baking in the oven, a scent that was distinctly artificial, yet undeniably comforting. Packet cakes weren't artisan, but they were reliable, affordable, and carried the proud satisfaction of putting something homemade on the table, even when time and money were in desperately short supply. These 15 grocery essentials were the backbone of survival for families when money was tight in the 70s. They weren't glamorous, they weren't always tasty, but they were dependable, affordable, and represented the kind of resourceful, dignified thrift that kept households running through hard times. From margarine to packet cake mix, each item carried its own memory, its own ritual, and its own place in the rhythm of making do. Did your family rely on any of these staples? Share your memories in the comments below. Hit subscribe for more nostalgic journeys through Budget Britain, and we'll see you next time as we continue exploring the everyday realities that shaped a generation.